It's July 7th, and welcome to the Nightly Angus Report. I'm your host, Matt Marion. Tonight's episode is sponsored by Wheatland Cattle Company. We have breaking news. Earlier today, the American Angus Association has decided to transition to single-step genomic enhancement. Not only are producers anxious to implement this new system, but it will take some time to become familiar with the new databases. This is still a new topic, and we'll have more on this in the coming months. It's November 17th, and welcome to the Nightly Angus Report. I'm your host, Matt Marion. A few months back in July, we broke the news that the American Angus Association is planning on a full transition to single-step genomic testing. Still in its infancy, we now have a better understanding on how this new program is going to unfold. Joining me tonight is Cody Bowden, and he'll give us a more in-depth look on the new program later tonight. First, we'll go live with Kyle Cavalli, where he's got the chance to talk to Cody LaFrance.
Well, thanks, Matt. This is Kyle here out with my good friend Cody LaFrance here at his farm. Cody, you want to just tell a little bit more of what we got behind us here?
Yeah, you bet, Kyle. So here we got here at our Angus program, we got 3 ET sibs, we got 2 heifers and a bull. They're all ET full sibs, and they go back to the Luton cow and a cutting edge bull. I guess you can kind of look here and tell from the phenotype that there's some difference in maturity and performance at this stage of the game. I guess with that, we'll go back and look at the single step and the scientific behind it.
Thanks, Kyle. Now Cody will take us to a more in-depth look on how to collect samples from these cattle.
All right, now we're going to take a closer look on how to demonstrate taking DNA samples. The first way we're going to do it is by pulling hair, and we're going to go to the switch of this calf and get a good clean piece of hair, and Cody's going to go ahead and pull that out there for us.
A closer look at the bull's hair we just pulled. As you can tell, we have the hair follicle there at the end, and that's incredibly important for testing matters. And we want to make sure when sending in these samples, you don't cut the hair, because if you cut the hair, then you're not going to get this follicle out of skin, and you won't have the correct DNA we need to test and be accurate.
Then the second way we can do it is we can go ahead and draw blood. The way we like to do it here is we go ahead and go to the tail, and there's a big vein underneath their tail, and draw blood right there as Cody's demonstrating, and draw all that blood, put it on a blood card and send it in.
As Cody demonstrated on the live calf, here's a closer look at drawing blood out of the tail. As you can see, the area is extremely clean and sanitary there at the base of the tail. They went ahead and perked that vein and drew blood out of it with a syringe. From there, they're going to go ahead and put it directly on the blood card. Within the blood card, you need to make sure it's clean, and then keep it within the circle there that's on the card, and make sure you have enough blood so they can be able to test it. Now that we've talked a bit about taking hair samples and blood samples from the field, Shiloh Shockey, my colleague here, is going to talk about what we do with those once we get them to the lab. Shiloh?
Thanks, Cody. So we'll take these DNA samples into the lab and further look at them further look at the SNPs. This platform shows an allelic variation across a variety of EPDs of interest. So we'll then take these SNPs and compare it to the reference population to increase the accuracy of these numbers. I guess, Cody, you kind of want to tell us a little bit more how it can help the Angus producers?
Sure. With single step, we have over 3,000 genotypes entered into the database today, and that number is only growing as customers send in their information over the years to come. And with that, that basically just gives us a larger reference population to go off of, and which in turn makes all of our numbers more accurate. In the past, a cow had to have numerous calves to be able to get her expected progeny differences accurate, so we know more about her progeny and herself, where now we can take a SNP of her at an earlier age and know more about her genetic EPDs and have them at a more accurate and precise level to be more efficient in terms of breeding and reproductive services on down the road. Here's our model for showing you how we have more insight on Cody's 3 full sibs that we looked at earlier. At the top is some different genetic EPDs that we put across that numerous different beef producers across the country use when selecting cattle. Here's just a select few in our model that we chose to represent. On the top line, we have the bull and his genetic values. Below that, we have the cow. And then below that, we have the ET calves. At first, we all thought that 50% of genetics came from the bull and 50% came from the cow. So you take the bull and the cow EPDs and you take the average to find the expected EPDs of the calf. So that's what we have here. Now, once we can single step, it shows that even between the 3 flush mates, there's genetic variation within them. Depending on how the alleles pair in the zygote will determine the allelic variation. So if our first ET calf, it shows that he's more similar to the cow than he is the bull because he got more genetic information off of the cow than he did the bull. In the second calf, he was more of what we expected. That calf was more on the average of the cow and the bull. And the final calf was more similar to the bull in terms of the way its EPDs fell. So that shows the different genetic variation among the 3 ET calves. If you remember looking back at Cody's flush calves there in the video, the heifer calf on the far left was a bit smaller, and that definitely shows here in terms of her EPDs off the genomic testing. And then the calf in the middle was a bit more just in terms of average, and then the bull calf on the far right was definitely one that was a bit bigger and had more growth, and that's certainly evident here within our EPDs that we're looking at.
I'd like to extend a big thanks for Cody and Shiloh for making it on the show tonight. And that concludes our section this evening. Join us next week on the Nightly Angus Report. Stay classy, San Diego.